385 acres. We're part of the Forest Preserves of Cook County. It's a special kind of partnership, if you will. Brookfield Zoo is the same way. They're a cultural institution. They're the Zoological Society on Forest Preserve property, technically Forest Preserve property, and we're the Chicago Horticultural Society, partnering with the Forest Preserves of Cook County. So way back in the day, the Chicago Horticultural Society has been around for a long time, close to, I think now, probably 140 years, something like that. I think in 2015, it was the 125th anniversary of the Horticultural Society, and like so many societies, they came about in that kind of late 1800s, 1895 at the time of the Columbian Exposition. And the Horticultural Society did all kinds of flower shows. And during World War II, very active in the Victory Garden movement. And as the Horticultural Society moved into like the 50s and early 60s, there was really this dream, right, of having a physical place to have a botanic garden. Not just offices and classes on Michigan Avenue, but to really have a place. And so that was when some of this work got started with not just offices and classes on Michigan Avenue, but to really have a place. And so that was when some of this work got started with meetings with the Cook County Forest Preserve. They looked at lots of different locations, but then looked north. We're on the border, right? Lake Cook Road, we're right, we step, across the street, we're in Lake County, Illinois. So this northern border of the county was this huge piece of property called Skokie Marsh. That was the original name. It was all like so much of this area, right? Over millennia. And so, but I think over time, this property had gone through some different uses over decades and decades. Of course, going way back, right? Native Americans were living in all of these places, and having livelihoods here, and using all of these waterways for for their lives and such. But then, just over time, other people, settlers, more and more people are here. And so at the time, the marsh, I think, was pretty degraded and such. But anyway, there was just a lot of earth moving, right? So none of the lakes that you see are natural in the sense that it was all sculpted with bulldozers, but had a magnificent master site plan that created the vision for what the garden as a whole would be, and then these individual display gardens. And so a lot of that earth moving was done in the late 60s. 1972 we opened to the public, but literally, and that it's kind of funny, just when you go back 50 plus years now, the entrance was at Dundee Road. So for those of you familiar with this, that Dundee is our southern border. So the main entrance was there. There was, I think, one small greenhouse, one small garden. At the time, our woods was called Turnbull Woods, right? There were trails through Turnbull Woods. But, right, like that was it. And for those of you who have lived in this area, for decades or what have you, many people will come up and say, oh my gosh, I remember when the garden was like nothing, because it really was nothing. And then over time, all of these different display gardens that we see today opened. So that just gives you a little bit of kind of the context of the garden.